lockdown has overshadowed other social issues, but for the thousands who live in Johannesburg's inner city's hijacked buildings, there has been no reprieve.
Go to sheriff who grille eviction order got 22. Then got 25 I'm evict. Akzanga give you a notice ya eviction ya or eviction order sanjo road.
Among the many victims of building hijacking are people who were evicted from properties they lived in for decades. This is not an uncommon sight in downtown Johannesburg. It's a few months before national lockdown, after midnight, and these families have been evicted from their residences. Until 2 days ago, Gladys Ndlovu was renting a room from her landlord in this block of flats, known as Windsor Gardens. In 5 hours' time, she has to be at work at a nearby restaurant where she is a cook. She's been unable to go to work for 2 days after being thrown out onto the street with her daughter and all their possessions.
Mina bengisemsebenzini umntana ebengekho ebhakashile umntana amefika uthola impahla ziphandle uyangifonela uthi mama impahla ziphandle ngavele ngagijima ngiyeza ngathola impahla zami ziphandle so lama ngiyabuza ukuthi kwenzakalani ukuthi impahla zami ziphandle athi indaba zabo mastanda amazuthi kuzo mastanda
Just 2 days before this, Gladys was renting a room in Joseph Mamecha's apartment in Windsor Gardens. Since he was evicted, he's been out on the street.
Then I ran out of evict. Then I look at Garangas court, where can I go court? By the end, get draft order, whenever he eats or whenever evict. So then I give wage one Kirujina Gonya now like an maybe you got 1 month. By Kenya apply eviction order last street. If I apply eviction order last street, then Bonaba Leva go a quarter by grant to Varangi for 2. You are proceed take a eviction. Go to sheriff who grille eviction order got 22. Then got 25 I'm evict. Akzanga give you a notice ya eviction ya or eviction order or sanjo road.
Now, if you were to just come at night when kids are asleep at a cold weather condition, that is an inhuman treatment. I don't think it's fair. Hence, it is always, most of the courts, they will always grant 3 months for a person to get an alternative accommodation, at least to salvage his dignity.
Joseph's son, Tabiso, was at home when they came to evict his father.
So anginephepha athi nginiwuba kodwa ngilifunde if mangithangathi hayi ngizomnika bathi okay siyankhipha ngathi okay ngicela umfonela kuze ngizwe ngayo ukuthi kwenzakalani while abanye they starting picking up things taking out so ngamfonela wathi ngibakhombe amaphepha lawa appeal thatha ngamkhomba wathi it's nonsense uqetshika umhlayi which means full of playing bese hayi ngathatha ngazigoqa kahle ngasifaka esikhomeni angena ekamereni lakhe ngaqoqa izinto zakhe ezibalekile.
Joseph is one of several tenants of Windsor Gardens who lived there under rent-to-buy agreements and was evicted after boycotting the high rentals and dilapidated state of the building. Anna Tite, another resident of Windsor Gardens who had a rent-to-buy agreement, said her living circumstances became unbearable over the years under the new caretaker. She has been served with an order to appear in court and is waiting for a court date.
When some South African was a number to a country, who gets one more flat. So I said, I'm raising flat body, but from Jim, Iatura, 5,000, 6,000, 1 bedroom. And then it happened, the open the country. mo di-passageng gore matho a kena kgone go bona gore fleke e ntle mara ka gare since ya kena yena and then flat ya e bodile ga e plenty next then ke sale ke dula mo nna ke na le 19 years ke dula mo so le poleke ya teng le a e bona gona e jwang bona di-toilet tsa teng di-pipe di bodile bo na di senki di jwang o ka patala 5,000 mo polekeng le bonte o sa e patale 5,000 e betegane le 5,000 e le go patala bonte kapo e right e pentuwe bona e jwang re kgathetse le gona ko go tlhana le mabote a bonana bona na e jwang e bodile phela.
Tumisho Prince Palane, a property law expert, represents the Windsor Gardens evicted tenants. He says his clients have a winnable case against being evicted from property they paid for under rent-to-buy agreements.
Sometimes someone will phone you and say, I'm being evicted. That is something that is very, very stressful. I mean, you can imagine that you have been occupying a property called home for over 14 years, and then now you are just being evicted. The trauma the clients share is the trauma I share as well. Some have came to me saying that they were just kicked out. Sometimes the court order is granted. They allege that it was not served onto them. So I would say that if the allegations are correct, yes, they have a case. Furthermore, relating to the agreements they have, if those agreements are not honored, I would say that they have a case. Yes. One of them is the issue of a rent-to-buy agreement. So, yeah, if you bought the property, obviously, the property is yours. That's it. You can't be evicted from your own house.
Special Assignments Investigation found Windsor Gardens was first registered in 1961 to the Roberts Construction Company trustees. We were told Executive Realty Management took over in 1995 and signed a 10-year rent-to-buy agreement with tenants at a fixed rate of 1,500 Rand a month, and that in 2004, Landsec Property Management and Rentals, together with the Monzi Group, took over the building. In its current state, a one-bedroom unit costs over 7,000 Rand a month to rent. If this sounds strange, the tenants say it's because Windsor Gardens is a hijacked building. Building hijacking in the inner city of Johannesburg was a phenomenon in the late 1980s when building owners began abandoning their properties, fearing an invasion of black people into the inner city. To date, more than 1,000 buildings have been hijacked here. It is a big problem in downtown Johannesburg. Former City of Johannesburg mayors Parks Tau and Herman Mashaba were both determined to clean up the inner city by eradicating the problem of abandoned and hijacked buildings. But neither of them succeeded in reclaiming the area from the crime and squalor that it is synonymous with. Reno de Beer from Liberty Fighters Network explains the modus operandi of these hijackers.
From our studies that we've conducted, we've identified a certain property hijacking cycle, life cycle. We call it the Poseira life cycle. Firstly, there's 7 key factors involved. Firstly, they prospect for the property. They go and try and find properties that they can hijack. Then it's obtained. They obtain the property physically, usually by fraudulent ways. Then they secure their mandate on the property. They go out and they start to tell people that you better pay to us, otherwise there's going to be problems. The occupiers don't know these new so-called landlords. So then these landlords start to intimidate the occupiers because the occupiers know actually what is going on. So then the next step is the eviction process that is taking place. So then they physically go and evict. They go to court, some of them, but in many instances it's a total illegal process where they just send in a group of bandits and they at 12 o'clock in the evening they throw people out. Usually they go to the High Court where they know that occupiers don't have money to buy or to get the services of an expensive legal team.
Windsor Gardens tenants say Landsec Property Management and Rentals, together with Monzi Group Pty Ltd, took over the building in 2004. Residents were made to pay their rent to them or be evicted.
I see film. Stand number 6 I saw. Sister, can you go and tell us something, money?
Windsor Gardens, alleged to be a hijacked building, is situated in Joubert Park, Johannesburg, adjacent to Leeds Street, King George Street, and Box Street. At 15 stories high, it has 157 apartments. We visited the deeds office in Johannesburg to verify if, in fact, Monzi Group Pty Ltd is the owner of Windsor Gardens, stand number 2033. The deeds office report shows stand 305 Pty Ltd is registered as the owner of stand 4882, situated at 24 Leeds Street. However, the building, Windsor Gardens, was not found on their system. Our investigation shows that stand 305 Pty Ltd and Monzi Group are both owned by a Mr. Kaplan. According to the deeds office's database, Windsor Gardens does not exist. Therefore, the city of Johannesburg doesn't bill it for rates, taxes, sanitation, and the electricity it receives. But the residents we spoke to showed us their very real bills for monthly municipal services. Unless this was a finger error on the part of the deeds office, making money out of something that cannot incur costs would be easy and tax-free for the building owner. We managed to access the building amid the chaos of a criminal incident that had just occurred there. The caretaker told us he works for the Monzi Group, who own the building. We went back to the deeds office to check if the Monzi Group indeed owns Windsor Gardens. We found out that not only does Windsor Gardens not exist on their database, but that the Monzi Group doesn't own any buildings. Special Assignment managed to get hold of Mr. Kaplan via telephone. He admitted to being the owner of Windsor Gardens. We asked him to provide us with the documents proving that he is the rightful owner and to be granted an interview with him. He promised to provide us the documentation but did not agree to meet us for an interview and said he would consult his lawyers. A few days later, we received a threatening email from his lawyers stating that we should leave him alone or they would take us to court.
There can't be something called an illegal eviction. There's no such a thing. They have to go to court and apply to court if there's such a thing as an illegal eviction.
Yeah. No.
You know, it's to get involved with the SABC and the television and all that. I don't think it's going to be a way that you're going to solve this issue. Let them go to court and deal with it in court accordingly. The matter was dealt with in court. And if you don't agree with the court system, then you have to fight with the courts. You'd rather interview the magistrate of the court.
We contacted the city of Johannesburg, who referred us to their Group Forensic and Investigation Service department.
In most cases, you'd find that the buildings that are not complying with the city's bylaws are buildings that are hijacked in the city, where you find tenants complaining that their owners are not doing certain things, are not doing maintenance on the properties. So that's where we come in. And that's an alarm for us, which says, no, this property has been hijacked. So what we do as a city of Johannesburg, we normally go to various, when we receive complaints, we go to various buildings or properties just to get statements from tenants and to see whether those properties are complying with the city's bylaws. Where the buildings are not complying, we hold the owners accountable and through the tenants. Since the department was formed in 2016, we have received a total, this is cases, reported cases of properties that are hijacked in the city of Johannesburg, a total of 1,473. It's confirmed as hijacked. What we have done as well, we have given back 77 properties to the rightful owners. These offices, their services, we require them every day because this is what we do, and without them, we use the information that's there to trace owners of the buildings.
I went to the deeds office undercover.
Yeah. Okay, yes.
And checked the building, and they said there are no records of the building at all. So do you have an idea why there are no records at the deeds office for Windsor Gardens?
You know, we have checked the building as well, the name of that building. It doesn't appear. But when we punch in the stand number, we get that property, the property in question, and the people that own that property. We have that. It's owned by Stand 305 Weinberg. It's a company.
What makes you be sure that the number that you punch in and gives the details of the company Stand 305, it's the number of the actual building of Windsor Gardens?
It's what we have. It's the stand number. Remember, a stand number is big. Even if you go there, I'm sure you would have noticed that it's a block of a building. What appears on our system is this stand number. And when you punch in that stand number, it gives us, and that's how we even build them on the system. We don't say Windsor Gardens. We build to Stand 305 Weinberg.
I was confused and curious to know, so I asked him, why do the documents show 24 Lead Street when the building is at 23 Buck Street? And when they bill, they don't bill under 24 Lead Street, but under 23 Buck Street.
People that made those allegations or claim that the building is hijacked, they must provide us with proof. Those are the issues that they must bring up. If they say it's 23 Bucks, it's not supposed to be 24 Lead Street, as we have it in our system, then they must go to revenue. They must address it with revenue. But what we have is 24 Lead, and that's how we've been billing the property.
Former residents of Windsor Gardens who were evicted from the building claim it's because it was hijacked. Abraham Machano launched his own investigation into the owner's legitimacy.
Ka 2018 ke be ke le nna ke thoma ke tsamaya di-deeds yano ke batla information ya go deeds office gore batho ba ba owner yang ke be ke ya le ko Braamfontein ko database ba pampira gore ke ye Windsor unknown ke ya ko Braamfontein ke e bone Windsor the whole Windsor ba ntshetse yona ga ba boa ko le ba rena ke open space mo ba bona batho ba ba registile ko morago fela and the Windsor yona ke open space wa bona so okay le mo le nna ke tsontsa tsa dizi ke ntse tšhelete ka gore ke di bone e tlhagisa fela gore ke stand 3 not 5.
After making these findings, he went to the Hawks and opened a case. He also went to the then mayor's office, Herman Mashaba, to report the matter and received a visit from someone on behalf of the new owners.
E ba thoma ba romela bad boy sekon bare ke phakwe ke na tla thoma a tla monar mogala go seng ka bo pa 7 to 8 mogala ke rumile go ena e bile ne ke gana o a rena ke rumile se kwa lwana gore ne ke rumile ko wena ka rumile ke mang a re ke makgowa ka re okay tsena nte ku tlorolla a ba nna mo sofeng ke nna mo di mo bete a mpolella story sa gore ke rumile ko wena mokhalabe so ba re ke tlo buisana le wena o tlo buisana le nna ka eng a re ba re go botsora o batla ntlo o batla tšhelete.
Abram says after talking to his wife, they agreed he must decline the offer.
Rona ge ne re rula mo ne le magae go gore ne le magae mo le go gore ne go sena problem ka executive real ne go sena problem e re patela 1.5 fail ke everything go sena bothata mara go tsena ba ditsotsi bjere gore mo le yano ba bua gore fa ke re tsa tšhelete gore o isa yona ke money maker vele ka gore ba itse gore ba e cancetse.
Windsor Gardens raises serious governance and fiscus questions. If the municipality doesn't have complete records of the inner city's buildings, how much more fraudulent activity is being committed? More importantly, how much of the revenue due to the municipality disappears without a trace in other unrecorded properties that collect millions from residents? Averaging it out, Windsor Gardens tenants pay 150 Rand a month for rates and taxes. Multiply that by 157 apartments in the building, and that will give you an amount of 23,550 Rand a month that the city is losing in rates and taxes. We contacted the Hawks and the Mayor's office regarding the conclusions of their investigations, but neither of them got back to us. Meanwhile, justice is a long wait for the affected residents.
Ha ba owner iteng kaplan ha ba uteng ha hlalle ka pla rona a re bontsha certificate sa hae hore poleke ke ya hae because mangolong a mangare ba romella ngwana from diloeng tsa bona a ngotswe stand 3 not 5 lease a re dule lease gone re dula box 323.
Despite the COVID-19 regulations that no evictions take place during lockdown, Anna was served with a court order in July. The case was postponed and she is awaiting a new court date. Abram was forced to go back home to Rustenburg in the northwest. Devastated, he says he was robbed of the rent-to-buy property that he paid off and lived in for 22 years.